Welcome back. Senegal today reported a second person has tested positive for the coronavirus. The health ministry says the patient is an 80-year-old French national who arrived in the country on February 29th. Meanwhile, Italy, one of the hotbeds for the coronavirus, says it is shutting schools and universities until mid-March as the government focuses on the introduction of emergency measures for tackling spread of the coronavirus. This comes as authorities report a jump in cases and deaths from the virus.
Shutting down schools and universities across the country is one measure considered by the Italian government to curb the spread of the virus. So also is setting up a new quarantine red zone near the northern city of Bergamo, given the high number of coronavirus cases in the area. Back in February, the government set up two red zones, one centered on 10 towns in the region of Lombardy, southeast of the country's financial capital Milan, and another, smaller one in the neighboring region of Veneto. Over in Iran, 92 people have died from the novel coronavirus and 2,922 people have been infected. The health ministry says 15 people have died since yesterday. Several Iranian officials have been infected with the coronavirus, and one senior official died from an infection on Monday. In India, 16 Italians have tested positive for the coronavirus as the total number of cases in the country rises sharply to 28. The world's second most populous country had only 6 reported cases of coronavirus. Experts had been concerned over how India would cope with the widespread outbreak. The U.S. state of Washington has reported 9 fatalities associated with the coronavirus, with 4 of them from a nursing home in Kirkland, a suburb of Seattle, which is now the epicenter of the disease in the country. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention is stepping up its efforts in the region to contain the virus, while many schools and businesses have been shut down until further notice. Also, Russia's President Vladimir Putin has debunked news of a coronavirus outbreak, and the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced that the government will bring forward measures to allow the payment of statutory sick pay from the very first day one is sick instead of 4 days under the current rules.
In the meantime, former New York Mayor and billionaire Michael Bloomberg has ended his race for the White House and thrown his support behind former Vice President Joe Biden. Mr. Bloomberg gave his supporters the news following his poor performance showing on Super Tuesday. Biden, on the other hand, claimed victory in 9 out of 14 states. Simon Pusey has more on this and other stories.
Good evening from the Channel studio here in London with your international news around the world in 5. In a remarkable comeback, Joe Biden has won 9 of the 14 states that voted to pick a Democrat White House candidate on Super Tuesday. The former US Vice President overturned predictions to narrowly take the key state of Texas, the second biggest state with 228 delegates, along with Massachusetts, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina and Virginia. Exit polls suggest Mr. Biden, who was vice president to Barack Obama, attracted large majorities of African American voters, a crucial bloc for the Democratic Party.
So I'm here to report we are very much alive. And make no mistake about it, this campaign will send Donald Trump packing. This campaign is taking off. Join us.
However, Mr. Sanders is projected to win California, the biggest prize of the night, as well as 3 other states.
But tonight, I tell you with absolute confidence, we are going to win the Democratic nomination. And we are going to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of this country.
The widow of South Africa's ex-president Nelson Mandela, Graça Machel, is on the cover of this month's Forbes Africa as the magazine prepares to announce its list of the continent's 50 most powerful women. A prominent child rights campaigner, the 74-year-old was also once married to Samora Mitchell, the first president of Mozambique. The magazine's editor also tweeted the cover of Forbes' African Women, which it says features those on the list, describing it as Africa's most influential and impactful ceiling crashers, movers and shakers. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's right-wing bloc appears to have failed to secure a parliamentary majority in Monday's general election. Netanyahu was claiming victory on Tuesday, but with 99% of the votes counted, his Likud party was on track to win 36 seats, and their allied right-wing and religious parties another 22. That would leave them 3 short of a majority. The election was Israel's third in less than a year. Neither of the main party leaders was able to command a majority following the last 2 rounds. Tennessee's state governor has said the death toll from 2 tornadoes that ripped through the center of the state has risen to 25. In Nashville, Tennessee's biggest city, the tornadoes caused widespread damage to homes and other buildings. The storm hit after midnight and moved so quickly that many people sleeping didn't have time to take shelter. A number of people remain unaccounted for, and about 44,000 people have been left without power. President Donald Trump has said he plans to visit the state on Friday. And finally, the urban climber Alain Robert, known as the French Spider-Man, has climbed Barcelona's Agbar Tower as a symbolic act against recent global fears over the coronavirus. The climber and activist known as the French Spider-Man climbs without a harness, using only his bare hands, a pair of climbing shoes and a bag of powdered chalk. He told the media he was doing the stunt to highlight the perceived fears around the virus and to encourage people to continue their daily routines. The French Spider-Man often climbs without permission and has been arrested on numerous occasions. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Nigeria.
Thanks, Simon. Here's Olumide Macaulay with sports news.
Thank you, Marty. Hello and welcome to Sports News. Super Eagles head coach Gernot Rohr has listed Ahmed Musa, William Ekong and Kenneth Omero in his 24-man roster for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against the Leon Stars of Sierra Leone this month. Other stars are Daniel Okpeyi, Wilfred Ndidi, Alex Wobi and Victor Sime. In the list of 3 goalkeepers, 8 defenders, 5 midfielders and 8 forwards. Coach of Nigeria's under-17 girls, Bankole Oluokere, has selected 18 players who will tackle their Guinean counterparts in a 2020 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup second-round qualifying fixture. There are 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 6 midfielders and 5 forwards in the roster. In the English FA Cup, holders Manchester City have overcome a spirited Sheffield Wednesday to reach the quarterfinals and stay on course for a domestic and European Cup treble. Fresh from their Carabao Cup triumph at Wembley, Manchester City moved into the last 8 as Sergio Aguero's 23rd goal of the season saw off their championship opponents. The Basketball Africa League has postponed the league's inaugural season, which had been scheduled to start on March 13th in Dakar, Senegal. The president of the association, Amadou Gallo Fall, says the postponement was recommended by the Senegalese government following the escalating health concerns related to the coronavirus. And that's it on Sports News. I'm actually back to you.
Thanks, Olumide. And the main news again. The leadership of the All Progressives Congress crisis today took a new twist as the court granted interim injunction suspending the party's national chairman, Mr. Adams Oshomole. But Mr. Oshomole's spokesperson says they have filed an appeal for a stay of execution of the court order. Also today, the APC promised to abide by a court decision on the suspension of its national chairman as police took over the party's secretariat in the nation's capital in a move to avert breakdown of law and order. That's News at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani. Good night.